Welcome to the live stream with Daniel and Joe. And today, live stream is absolutely phenomenal. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are. And only very limited time for this 2020 to disappear and for 2021 to start. And we're going to be ready to ambush the new year. Welcome on board and welcome, my friend, the legendary Daniel Tolson.
Mate, I'll have to give myself a round of applause, so thanks for having me here. You're right, Joe. I want you to do something with me, Joe. I want you to put your hand out in front of you like this, and I want you to move your hand close towards your face. So put your hand there, good. So ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching us live or on the replay, put your hand out in front of you and then move it towards your face. One of the things I've learned is your neurology is designed to speed up the closer you get towards your goal. And what I've found in this week of December, the second week of December, is just going so incredibly fast. And so Absolutely. I know that by the time we breathe again, it's going to be 2021. Very exciting times.
This time is going to be different, Daniel, because we're going to be there, we're going to be ready, and we're going to ambush the new year. And as this exercise came about, I would love you to do this exercise again, but this time with the tip of your finger. So as you look at it here, tip of your finger, you can see it. You get closer, you can still see it. You get closer, you can still see it. You get closer, you can still see it. But as soon as this one touches that bone right here, if you have a bone, if you're not a boxer or something, you cannot actually see that tip of your finger. And I would like to launch a statement. This is not mine. It's taken from a movie called Now You Can See Me, about magicians that were doing some kind of magic. But actually, it's not a magic. It's just extreme planning, second per second, minute per minute. And because it's super extreme in that plan, it just appears to the people to be like magic. From the exercise, what we learn is the closer you look, the less you see. That's the statement from the movie. The closer you look, the less you see. So yes, as you look at your goal, you need to be looking at your goal on a plan, not actually like this, because you can't really see anything. I would like to welcome our friends here. Cassie from Malaysia, Borey, Hamide. Thank you so much for tuning in. She's saying hi, Dr. Joe and Daniel. Your presence in this live and on the replay and your reactions to it is what makes this live stream with me and Daniel very special, because we come here and we are here for you. And Daniel, I want to share with you a story that almost made me cry. I met this amazing lady, and I felt that I betrayed my own promise, because I made a promise that I will be out there to pick anybody that needs to be picked up and help anybody that needs help. I was a little bit delayed. I didn't know her. Then I met her. She already logged in with some other people who just used her for money and not really giving her any coaching that she deserves. The girl was super brilliant, super smart, and hungry for knowledge, but she didn't have the right people to support her. And part of the development, as we develop, as we recraft the new version of ourselves that is much better, having someone that walked down that road and actually had that journey that can tell you, hey, watch out, there's a couple of obstacles here, there's a couple of trips over here, be careful. You can actually level up and accelerate, as you always say in your 10x events, Daniel, to accelerate that learning. And I haven't updated you on my water skiing, abilities. I'm becoming a champion now. No, not really. I'm just joking. But I met this girl. I was spending the weekend on the water. You can see I wasn't really on social media. I said, this is time for me just to be out there and do things that inspire me so I can go and punch in from Monday today with the full energy that I have. And this girl was in the water at Bondi Beach, and she was standing. And obviously I'm surfing my little waves on my bodyboard and trying my best. And it just caught my attention that she's just stationary. So I caught one of those good waves that took me about 30, 40 meter slide. And then I looked at her and she smiled. She was very friendly. So I approached her and I said, I see you standing. Do you want to try the bodyboard? Do you want to have a bit of fun with it? And she said, I've made a promise to myself after I left my boyfriend. She broke up with her boyfriend recently, that she's going to learn how to deal with water. She's got water problems. And I thought to myself, okay, well, it's not like I'm an expert, but at the same time, at least I can give her a push and support her. I said, look, my name is Dr. Joe Isaac. This is what I do on social media, etc. And I help people to level up their game and really counter their phobia. I'm happy I'm not a professional person when it comes to that, but I can certainly give you the steps that set you on the right track. And she was like asking me, well, you got to charge me for this. I said, well, normally I would charge, but I'm pretty sure that you wouldn't have the amount of money on you standing on the beach to pay for my fees. But I'm happy to do it for free for about 10 minutes or so, just to see that smile on your face when you feel that you're accomplishing what you have promised yourself. Bottom line, long story short, at the end of the day, she started to move from standing where the water was kind of on her knee level to stand deeper and actually relax and loosen herself up to put her hands just like this on the bodyboard and to look at the wave without having to panic. And I was watching very closely her breathing rate as she breathes when I first met her to after the 10-15 minutes. And she said, oh, do you come here often? And she was trying to get in touch with me. I said we should do this again, etc. And I felt super good that I managed to move someone. So as we talk today about broken promises and how many promises we have made, I want to introduce a concept I haven't shared with you, Daniel, before. But before I go into that concept, I need to make sure that I give you a disclaimer. It does have a bit of a sexual reference. So please don't take it physical. Be cool and forgive me. It's called the HH concept.
I'll go and get my lube.
Oh my God, I should not mention that in front of you, Daniel. You're very naughty. I know that. Actually, my eyes are getting watery just remembering that story with that girl that was betrayed. Sorry. Anyway, I'm a very sympathetic, emotional creature. Anyway, I'll pull myself, get back to it. The hungry. Pardon?
You're making sexual references, and then you say you're going to pull yourself. Did you mean you're going to pull yourself together?
Oh my God! Well, I should just not have these jokes with you, Daniel. I can keep up with you, but yes, I really need to kind of get on board with the story, with the concept of the hungry, horny. Now, I chose this in particular. The HH is a concept that I speak about it very, very diligently and in a controlled environment. I often don't go and talk about it without proper introduction, so people don't misunderstand the concept. Two instincts that we have. Everybody likes to eat, and everybody has to eat to survive. And the horny is an instinct that we have that we can satisfy. Yes, we can suppress for quite some time if no one is available and whatever it is, but at some point it has to be satisfied. It is basic, essential needs that humans need. And the story of the hungry horny teaches us a couple of lessons, which I'll ask you after I tell you that quick story that you have seen and you have heard and you will criticize. Tell me if you can extract the two lessons I'm trying to indicate here in terms of our theme and our topic today. So if you see someone that tells you, hey, I'm hungry, and then after 1 hour, they say it again, they didn't eat, I'm hungry. What's your natural reaction? So for example, Daniel, if you are out there, I know you haven't heard this from me before, and someone is telling you I'm hungry, let's say Nini is telling you that she is hungry, or Caesar is telling you that they're hungry, and they're repeating it. What's the natural reaction that you will go and tell them what to do? What would that be?
Get some food.
Perfect. Right? If you tell them, hey, go get some food, buy some food, make yourself a sandwich, do you want me to make you a snack, whatever it is, along the lines of all these areas. Now, if we go to that concept again and visit it with the same thing with the horny, I'm horny. Okay, well, go get yourself a partner, marry someone, do whatever you need to do, etc. It will be very, very, very strange that we just keep accepting that I'm hungry or I'm horny, and the people are repeating it over a period of time without taking any action. Everybody on planet Earth will criticize this and say, what the hell is wrong with you? The funny part is, when we have all these broken promises, we are actually using the hungry, horny concept, but not in the sense of go and get yourself something to eat. We're just repeating it. We know so many people that every time you meet them, for the last 3 years, they have been complaining about their partner, that they're not happy together, that their partner does this or their partner does that. So this is the concept of I'm hungry, and you've been saying that you're hungry for 3 years, yet you have never went to buy some food or make yourself a snack. And we do this in many different shapes and forms and examples. Okay. Last year, I want to do this. This is my promise, 2020, what was it called? The thing that we start at the beginning of every year. Forgot the word in English. Maybe Daniel, you can remind me that when a
The New Year's resolution.
Thank you, the New Year resolution. That's right. And then we've had all these resolutions. I'm going to lose weight, or I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do that. And yet we are now almost 2021, and we are in the same place. When we made that promise, we felt good because we spoke about it and we imagined ourselves, okay, now I'm losing weight, or I'm making that much money for my business, or whatever it is, or I'm launching my website. After a year later, when we look at it, oh my God, I haven't really moved a fraction. I'm still hungry and I'm still horny. What really happens to us from here? This is the point that we're on today. So hungry and horny as a concept teaches us two concepts. From the story, I hope you guys tell me, what do you extract that I am trying to say here through the hungry and horny concept? Two items. What would that be? If you're watching us now, let us know. If you are watching on the replay, still let us know. Daniel, mic is yours.
Well, I'm thinking, and I'm wondering why it's not horny hungry, because sometimes I've just got to eat after doing certain things. Interesting you say this. I was thinking about that reptilian brain that we had there, and there's 3 F's. And the first one is fighting. So when we walk down the street, we look at another person, male or female, and we go into that protective mode and we say, can I fight it? And if we feel that we can fight it, we keep walking towards it. If we don't feel that we can fight it, we'll run away. The second thing is we walk down the street and we see something on the ground and we look at it and we ask ourselves, is it food? Can I eat it? And if you can eat it, you pick it up and you eat it. And then the third F is a 4-letter word ending in ing, plus a 4-letter word plus ing. So it kind of sounds like fighting, feeding, and we'll call it fornication. And so it's a very reptilian part of the brain. But, talking about food, I was setting my New Year's resolutions yesterday. So it's come to the end of 2020. And I'm going back and I'm having a look at the goals. I'm having a look at the goals that I've set and I've achieved. And I'm having a looking at the goals and asking myself that I've set that I didn't achieve. So I had to ask myself the question, what was the difference between the goals that I achieved and the goals that I did not achieve? The first response could have been, well, it wasn't that important.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's very easy because you let yourself off the hook. But then I think to myself, if it wasn't important, why did I write it down? And so I went back and I had a look at my goals, and probably about 8 out of 9 of those goals I didn't achieve this year. Now, statistically, that's not very good, but I could have changed them coming into 2021. And so what I did, I looked at them, I said, no, these are important goals. And what happened this year, there was some major external obstacles. There was obstacles that came in 2020 that I did not anticipate. There was nothing wrong with the goal. What was the problem was what I had planned and what I had failed to plan for. And so I reset these goals. And as I reset the goals, I had to ask myself, who do I need to become to achieve these goals? And first of all, I wanted to drift back and say, maybe they're not that important. But these goals are always important. And if I would have given up on these goals, I would have made a promise to myself that this is what I'm going to get. And if I changed my mind, I would have said, well, I've just broken the promise to myself. And I wasn't prepared to live with that. So I went and did a little bit of research on the topic, and some neuroscientists have been looking into this. And what happens is when we break a promise to ourselves, it actually does neurological damage to the brain.
Correct.
It hurts the brain. And so once the brain is hurt, we start to experience this inner conflict. And I felt myself going through that inner conflict. Is it important? Of course it is. Maybe it's not. That's why I didn't achieve it. And I was in 2 minds about it, but I reset the goal. The other thing that happens is that when you set a goal and you don't achieve it, if you make a promise and you don't fulfill it, it actually erodes your own self-esteem and self-worth. And so I reflected on those goals and I thought, if I give in on these goals, I'm actually going to do more damage to myself in 2021.
That's right.
And so the goal remains the same, but today the strategy changes. And so what we want to do today is to discover, have you set a goal and not achieved it? Have you made a promise and not fulfilled it? Because a goal and a promise is one of the same things. You promise yourself, this is what I'm going to go out and get. And achieving the goal is keeping it. But if you don't achieve it, then you're breaking it. And so my question today to you who are joining us live on the live stream, have you made a promise and broken it? Or have you set a goal and not achieved it? Because if we can work our way through this today and get clarity and get the learnings coming into 2021, we're going to have higher levels of performance. So, Reza, thank you for joining us from Bali. Wow, all the way from Bali. What a beautiful place in the world to be. I
Bali,
remember,
nice to see you. Terima
I
kasih.
remember, I remember in the good old days when we used to be able to travel, Joe.
Yeah, and Bali is definitely on the list. And Reza, as I told you before, I would love to travel again. And obviously, Bali has got a very soft spot in every Australian's heart. So thank you for joining us and for letting us know where you're from. You guys are amazing, and you make this live stream and our community New Limitless World is what it is for your participation, your support, and the share. Daniel, I want to enhance, I want to really get to the point about the question. There is no one out there that have not broken a promise. So Daniel is being very, very diplomatic and very soft. Now, I am not as good as he is. You know me, I just spell it as it is. So you have broken your promises. We both know that. And yes, you have made some goals that you haven't achieved. We both know that. I'm not going to ask you if you have. I know you have. What I'm going to ask you to do is something, I'm going to push you a little bit further, which is, okay, well, are you brave enough to state them in writing and say, yep, I was supposed to do this and I haven't done that? And then commit to achieving it. I don't know what your goal is, and I don't know what promises that you have made. And this is not my business to know. But my business is to make sure that you stay on top of it. And round one, I always say, if you haven't achieved it the first time, you may have lost a battle, but you haven't lost the war unless you decide to lose the war. I've lost many battles in my life, but I can assure you, Joe, that you know today has never lost a war ever. And I will never lose a war, but I'm okay with losing a battle. Revisit those goals, personal, business, whatever type they are, and ask yourself, what can I do differently this time? And you have Daniel, you have me here to guide you through it. What can I do to make sure I achieve it? Maybe the goal wasn't set correctly. Maybe it was too harsh. Maybe there was external obstacles that we all faced this year, like COVID-19 and all. There's so many factors at play, but the most important part, I don't want you failing that goal and not keeping that promise that you've promised yourself to wear off and to shave away from your confidence, because it does. That's number one. Number two, which is super, 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 super important, is to understand that losing a battle is not losing a war. I want to tell you this quick story, Daniel, and it's actually quite funny. When I was young, when I say I was young, I was probably 12 or 13, around that. And I want you to see how my father was raising me up. My father wasn't a motivational speaker or a psychologist or anything. It was just a surgeon that started in as an ophthalmologist, and then eye surgeon, then became cosmetic surgeon. Just pure doctor, doesn't understand anything other than the scalpel and operate on people. But he always told me one thing. He said, he said to me this, he said, you are very diligent, and whatever you put your head in, you always achieve it. He's been repeating this statement to me on numerous times and several occasions in several contexts. So I was at our farm, and we have a massive farm, reasonably big size in Egypt. And I was riding a donkey. In Egypt, you ride three things if you wanted to ride animals, generally speaking. The donkeys, and then the horse, and then you've got the camel. We didn't have camels or horses at that stage. We just had the donkeys and then the cow and the sheep and the fruits and the rest. So I was on the donkey, and this donkey was quite fast, and I used to love it because it runs, and I love to run. I love the speed. And I was on the donkey, and I fell off the donkey. I was terrified. It was my first time. When I fell off the back of the donkey, I fell on my back. So if you've ever experienced this, whether push bike or whatever it is, when you fall on your back, you can't breathe because you take that hit pretty hard. And I couldn't breathe, and my face was turning blue and all that stuff. And then eventually I recovered. They told me, relax, everything will be fine, give me some water, some sugar, etc., and sort of calm me down. As soon as I gathered myself, what do you think, a kid in my age, the first thing I said after I managed to speak and get back to normal? Can you guess it? Let me know if you can guess it. And before you hear it from me, of course, I will say it now. This is what I said, exactly word for word. I want to jump on this donkey and ride it again now. Yes, I lost my battle because I have fallen off. But for some reason, I believed in what my dad told me. Whatever you put your head into, you'll always achieve it. And I said, okay, round two. First round I lost, but I'm coming back for round two. But round two is a little bit different. I challenged myself further, and I actually took the saddle off. So I was riding the donkey with nothing other than holding to its neck and the hair, and still riding it. So I wanted to take it up the next level because I wanted to get rid of that fear that I'm afraid I'm going to fall again. But this time I was prepared. When I'm going to fall, I'm going to protect with my hands. I already replayed it in my mind. There is a potential I can fall. And if I do, that's what I'm going to do. So this is my story about goal setting and about how to fight. And remember, I was a kid, no coaches, no one. It's just a mindset. Dan, Mike is yours.
I was told a war story once upon a time, and they were talking about the grounds battlemen who shoot mortar rockets. And they say these gentlemen who shoot the mortar rockets, what happens is they have a pipe. They have this pipe and they throw down a mortar rocket. It's like a rocket-propelled grenade, and they throw it down the pipe and they shoot it. Now, the first time they shoot the mortar rocket, it always misses the target. The first time it always misses. It normally goes over the target or it lands before the target. But what they do is they stop and they take count. They have a look at where it landed and they do their calculations. The next thing they do is they shoot again. They don't stop. Just because they missed, they don't stop. They take another rocket-propelled grenade, they put it down the mortar tube and they shoot it again. Now, the interesting thing is they know they're going to miss the target. And so the first time, if it overshoots the target, they take count. The second time, it's going to miss the target and it's going to land early. But what they do is they stop and take count. Now, whilst they're stopping and taking counting, everybody's laughing. The people on the other side of the wall, they're laughing. They're going, these people can't hit us with those rocket-propelled grenade. The first time they missed us. The second time they missed us. They're never going to hit us. But what they do is the people who are firing the mortar rockets, they take note. They say, what worked the first time? Where did it land? Where did we fall short the second time? Where did it land? And they take note. Now, the interesting thing about the gentlemen and the women who shoot the mortar rockets, they're actually as accurate as a sniper. And on the third attempt, every single time they land right on top of the target. Because what they were doing is they were constantly seeing where they landed and what adjustments they needed to do until they recalibrate and they hit the target. So maybe in 2020, you didn't hit your target. That's okay. If you set a goal and that target's important to hit, what you do is now you recalibrate. You have a look at where you landed the first time, where you landed the second time, and now just fine-tune it and dial it in and make 2021 that year that you hit your target. And so I didn't hit all my targets this year, and I'm actually okay with that because I want to go again and I want to hit them this time, but I have so much more knowledge. We were hit with GFC, Global Financial Crisis, in 2010, and we learned something new. We've just been hit with COVID-19 in 2020, 10 years later, and we've learned something new. That knowledge is going to carry through to every other year after this. And it means we actually know more as we approach these goals this time. So let me ask you a question. If the goal's important, will you track it down again? Will you keep the same goal moving into 2021? Was it important in 2020? And if it is, will you be chasing the same goal in 2021 if you didn't hit it in 2020? What would you do, Joe? Would you change the goal or would you change the approach
I,
towards the goal?
for me, I set my goals right. I always satisfy my SMART criteria. So the stuff that I advise the people, I practice it first. So my goals, when they're set based on markers, strategies, very realistic, etc. So if I don't have the chance to achieve it this round, or I failed this particular round, as I said, this battle, but not the war, it's because there were external factors that out of my control. Like if I said I needed to run my workshops, I used to run at least 12 to 20 workshops overseas every year. I couldn't do one this year. It was just not happening. So this is something external as an example. So I wouldn't revisit my goals, but I will have to revisit strategies in many areas that is actually not in my hands. It's not in my control. Like I don't have my private jet, and I don't think all borders everywhere is welcoming me, or any other Australian. So this is the issue that I have. But in terms of personal goals, yes, that is in our hand. And I want to comment, Derek, thank you so much for your comment. I want to continue writing it about my donkey story and keep recalibrating. And that's brilliant, to appreciate your participation. And in terms of the recalibration, that process that you've mentioned, Daniel, in the military, before snipers take a shot, we have the sniper and the spotter together, where they do all these calculations beforehand. So it's not exactly as the same story, because they're supposed to be hiding, and when they take a shot, they don't miss. They have to run calculations together about the wind, the angle, the speed, etc. So when they shoot, it doesn't miss. Now, this is a type of approach that may not be realistic for us all the time, given that we don't have the expertise to measure all the factors around us. But I think that story that you shared with us, Daniel, is completely inspiring to tell us, hey, working in progress. At least those people, when they were shooting, they're always close to the target. Maybe they have missed it, but not given up on it. And that's essentially what I want you to carry on. But part of this sometimes is to make that commitment to yourself, and also to talk about it. And remember that breaking your own promises. Daniel, we go out there and I personally, this is the way I operate. I have respect for people that deliver on their words, and people that don't deliver on their word. If you've seen my Instagram videos, I say I give people one chance. And I actually made a video. If you give people one chance, you're like this: 2 chances, 3 chances, 4 chances. I personally give one chance. Every single person has got the benefit of the doubt from me. You get one chance. You'll miss it, you're done. That's it. Because I know the behaviors of humans. If people that are show-offs, for example, always talking rubbish, they just keep talking, saying, I'm hungry, horny all the time. After 5 years, they're still saying the same thing. They're exactly in the same spot, because they are saying it as a way of ventilation. They actually treating themselves psychologically. So when they talk about it, they feel better, but that's about it. It's just a temporary relief, like your Panadol. I have some headache, couple of tablets, etc. And then tomorrow the headache is back. And tomorrow you're saying hungry, horny, or horny, hungry again, or whatever it might be. So the idea here really is that you stay on top of that game. And when you expect people to deliver their promises, well, hello, you need to deliver your promises to yourself first.
Big time. A couple of things that I've learned over the years is that sometimes when it comes to setting our goals, we get overly optimistic. And when we set goals, we do feel good. When you set a goal, your body releases dopamine. It gets you excited, gets you pumped up, ready to chase. When you do visualizations, when you do affirmations, your body releases serotonin. So when you start your goal-setting process, you feel really optimistic. And so I know this firsthand, because last night when I was doing my 2021 goals, I didn't want to go to sleep. I wanted to start acting immediately. And so optimism can also get in the way of setting an effective goal. And so maybe you look at your goals now based on what you did this time last year, and you say to yourself, was it the optimism? Did I try to go too big too soon? because we're told in goal setting, you got to shoot for the stars. You got to shoot for the stars.
Mm,
Maybe it's just not possible for you yet. Maybe you're not an astronaut and you're setting
mm,
the wrong goal. So you've got to take in optimism. Also, you've got to think about the promises that you're making. Every time you set a goal, you make a promise to yourself. And if
mm,
you overshoot the target, if you shoot for the stars and you don't achieve it, then what
mm,
happens is automatically you set yourself up for failure. And so, what
mm,
I'd like you to consider is that when you set your goals for 2021, I want you to get back to basics and we have to create a track record of success. Most
mm,
people, when they set their goals at the start, they set it with a 99% failure rate and a
mm,
1% success rate. And
mm,
that's the wrong way to do it. You've got to flip the equation around. And when you're resetting, when you're recalibrating, you've got to ask yourself the question, what is achievable for me? For me, not for the world. What's achievable for me based on everything that I have right now, based on the resources that I have now, based on the knowledge I have now, based on the skill that I've got now, based on my current mental attitude. What is achievable for me? And you want to make sure that your goal has a 99% success rate and only a 1% failure rate. And as you go through and you set your goals, if you set a goal and achieve it, your self-esteem goes up. Your
mm,
self-worth goes up. You feel that you can achieve any goal. And as you
mm,
go throughout the year, then you can start to have a stretch goal. But your first stretch goal should be 98% success rate and a 2% failure rate. And what will
mm,
happen is you'll set a goal, which is making a promise to yourself. You will fulfill the promise by achieving the goal, and then you'll start to believe that you can achieve anything that you've ever wanted. And as you do that, you'll have more confidence, you'll have more
mm,
self esteem, you'll have more drive, you'll have greater belief, you'll talk to yourself differently, you'll hold yourself differently, and you'll make more of 2021 than you did of 2020. So this week, let's summarize it. I want you to go back. I want you to review your goals. Now, the big goal remains important to you. You've got to keep the big goal, but maybe you just have to change the time frame on that goal. Maybe your goal is to
mm,
have $1 million business. It's possible to have $1 million business. There's millions of people with millions of dollar businesses, but it might not just be the right time for you now. So you shift it back a little bit. And then what
mm,
you put in place, you might put in a goal this year to make $100,000. And what will happen is if you make your $100,000 this year,
mm.
as you stretch the following year, you'll have greater belief in yourself.
Correct.
And so remember, optimism, you can get drunk on optimism. I get drunk on optimism all the time. I believe I can do everything, just not yet.
Well,
Just a little bit
it's happening.
more
It's
time.
happening.
It is. So, Derek, thank you so much. Derek says most people set their goals with a 99% failure rate and only a 1% success rate. Yep. Flip it around. Flip it around. You've got to have that 99% success rate to start with. And once you get it good at setting and achieving goals, then you can stretch. Anna,
Yes, that's right.
may Allah rest your great dead soul in peace. Dr. Joe, yes. Allah Akbar.
Thank
Muhammad
you. You
Rasulullah.
have to you have to say Amin, Daniel.
Ameen. Ameen.
I
Yeah,
mean, she's
Ameen.
making like a prayers,
Mm.
and in those prayers, she's saying, making the prayer. So the Arabic response will be Amin, which is kind
Mm.
of like the English, really, and I appreciate it. Thank you so much, Amin. And I guess moving on from here, as we are approaching the end of the live, I want to really make this and probably make it so simple that we expand on this in the next live on how you plan your goal and how to set yourself up for success. So Daniel gave you a very nice formula, realistically, that a lot of people set at 99% failure. So you're actually setting yourself planning to fail anyway without actually knowing it because you don't know how. What we can do on the next live is we can share with you snippets of how to build this. You can't plan a strategic plan. When companies call me to help them with a strategic human resource management plan, they want it for 10 years. I tell them, forget about 10 years. And I'll tell you why, the reason. But tune in for our next live stream with Daniel on next Monday, and I'll walk you through how to do it practically, how we do it without failing. This is what I call the sniper approach. Snipers that you hear about, they never fail. When they take the shot, you know that the target is down, right? You'll tell me, right. There is no sniper that misses. They're called snipers for that reason. As a team, training all designed that when they press, the bullet goes exactly where they want it, whether it's windy or not windy, whether it's 2 meters or 500 meters. Doesn't matter. When they press, they don't miss. Why? Because they have a formula. I'm happy to share with you this formula. Stay tuned. And if it's the first time you see me or Daniel, make sure that you follow us on Facebook or Instagram. Stay in touch and know that we will be here on the next Monday at 6 p.m. Sydney time, giving you the sniper formula that will help you to never miss.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us today. Remember, just take one idea away from today and apply it. And one idea is enough to change your life. So maybe it is the sniper formula, but you're going to have to come back next week for that one. Maybe it's the horny, hungry formula. Or maybe it's just resetting your timeframes on your goals. So thank you for joining us, Joe. Always a pleasure, and we shall see you soon. Ladies and gentlemen, have a wonderful day. Ciao for now.